The package arrived on a Tuesday. No signature required, no name on the return label. Just a plain brown box sitting at the foot of my front steps like an accusation. I didn't order anything. At least, not that I remembered. But curiosity always trumps suspicion, doesn't it? So I brought it inside, set it on the kitchen counter, and sliced it open with a paring knife still wet from breakfast pears. Inside was a single item. A Polaroid. Not even a fancy one. Just your basic white-bordered instant photo. In it, my wife, Amanda, smiling. Not at the camera, but at someone standing just off frame. Her hand rested gently on a man's knee. Not mine. A timestamp in the corner read last Thursday, 9:42 p.m. Last Thursday, Amanda was supposed to be at her book club. I stared at the photo for a good 2 minutes, frozen mid-thought, while the hum of the refrigerator felt suddenly accusatory. We'd been married 8 years. Not perfect years, but serviceable. We had routines, inside jokes, coordinated calendar invites for dentist appointments and oil changes. I was the spreadsheet guy. She was the Pinterest girl. But this was not on the calendar. I flipped the photo over. No note. No explanation. Just a single scribbled word in blue ink. Finally. By the time Amanda came home, the photo was gone, tucked neatly inside my sock drawer beneath a pair of socks I hadn't worn since our last trip to Asheville. She dropped her purse by the door and kicked off her heels like nothing had changed. Maybe for her, nothing had. Hey babe, she called out casually. Book club ran late. Sorry, I missed your call. Book club. Right. I nodded and smiled. No worries. I heated up the pasta. It's in the microwave. She kissed my cheek and didn't notice how I didn't kiss back. Later that night, she fell asleep mid-episode of some reality show we used to mock together. I turned the volume down and just watched her. Peaceful. Serene. Like someone who hadn't just been caught cheating. Or maybe she hadn't been caught, yet. I didn't say anything the next morning either. Just made her coffee like usual. 1 sugar. A splash of almond milk. Muscle memory's a funny thing. But something had shifted. I didn't check her phone. Not yet. I didn't confront her. No dramatic speeches or slam doors. I just observed. That weekend, a second envelope arrived. No box this time. Just a manila envelope slipped through the mail slot like some noir detective had dropped it on his way to expose a scandal. Inside were 3 photos. Different angles. Same couple. Amanda and the mystery man. One showed them holding hands at a rooftop bar I didn't recognize. Another, her laughing into his shoulder, that familiar crinkle around her eyes that used to be mine. And the last one? Them entering a hotel. No timestamp this time. Just a typed note. This isn't new. Not new. That line hit harder than any affair. If this wasn't new, then what had the last year of my life been? I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I didn't even feel humiliated. I felt, still, like I was staring into the eye of a hurricane I hadn't realized was circling for months. That night, I told Amanda I had to work late. I drove to a quiet diner across town and ordered a black coffee I didn't touch. And there, under flickering neon, I opened a blank document on my laptop. At the top, I typed the title. What She Doesn't Know Yet. Beneath it, I wrote the first line of what would eventually become a very long list. Revenge is best served not cold, but quiet. Then I clicked save and closed the laptop. I didn't dive into revenge like a man on fire. I slid into it like a man who discovered a slow leak in his boat and decided to chart the river anyway. Amanda still kissed me good morning, still reminded me to pick up oat milk on the way home, still hummed when she folded laundry. Meanwhile, the photos stayed hidden in a folder on my computer labeled Taxes 2021. That folder was practically invisible to her. Numbers bored her the way silence bored me. I didn't check her phone. I didn't follow her. Instead, I started asking different questions. Not to her, to myself. Like, what kind of man does she think I am? And, more importantly, what kind of man do I need to become so she'll never see what's coming? First step, play dumb. Smile like a man too tired to suspect. She thought I was predictable, manageable. The kind of husband who folds towels just the way she likes and asks if her shoes are new even when they aren't. Perfect. Second step, gather intel. I started by recreating the hotel image. I looked up rooftop bars, cross-referenced with Amanda's tagged Instagram photos, and zoomed in on background reflections. Took me 2 days to find it. The place was called Le Dome. Upscale, overpriced, and 10 blocks from where she said her book club met. I made a reservation. Not to go, just to see who she was with. Thursday night, I drove past the bar around 9:30. I didn't park. just cruised by like I was lost, eyes scanning the patrons on the patio. And there she was, Amanda, wearing the red wrap dress she told me made her feel confident but classy. Next to her, Mystery Man. Same relaxed posture. Same smug hand on her thigh like he was claiming acreage. I kept driving. But now I had a location. A time. A pattern. Back home, I updated the file. Thursday nights. Rooftop bar. Same guy. She thinks I don't know. Friday morning. She left for yoga, and I took the day off work. Not to sulk. To visit a locksmith. See, we had a shared storage unit downtown, mostly filled with camping gear and old photo albums. Amanda hadn't been there in months. I had the key, but now I had something better. A second key made, and a tiny hidden compartment installed in the wall behind the shelving unit. That was where I placed the backup drive. All the photos. All the notes. The recordings I was about to start collecting. Call it overkill. I called it insurance. That night, Amanda made pasta and told me about her friend Monica's awful date. I smiled, stirred the sauce, nodded at all the right places. When she asked if I wanted to watch a movie, I said, "You pick." She looked pleased, like she'd won something. She hadn't, but let her believe it. I stayed up after she fell asleep, went to the garage, pulled out the dusty box labeled Christmas Lights, and inside it, a new edition, a discreet voice recorder, just like the one I used in college journalism. Still worked. Still sharp. I placed it inside the fake fern on the windowsill where Amanda took all her morning calls. She thought I didn't notice her laughing a little too brightly these days. The next morning, she called someone named Jay. Not Julian. Not Jason. Just Jay. And when she said, "Last night was magic," I finally heard the voice that answered. Smooth, sure, low. Not a coworker. Not a friend. "Next time your place," he said. Amanda hesitated. Then giggled. Giggle. The sound of guilt and heels. I pressed stop. Later that day, I did what any good husband would do. I booked a couple's retreat. Somewhere quiet. Somewhere luxurious. Somewhere she'd have to pretend we were still in love. She looked at me with surprise when I told her. "Really? Just us?" "Just us," I said, with the warmest smile I could fake. She kissed me then. Soft. The kind of kiss meant to reward a well-trained pet. I kissed her back, already writing the next line in the file. She's going to wish I was the man she thought I was. The cabin was gorgeous. Exactly the kind of place Instagram influencers use to fake reconciliation. Glass walls. Stone fireplace. A bed so large it could host a marriage and a divorce in one night. Amanda loved it immediately. She called it rustic chic. I called it the perfect stage. She twirled in the main room like a girl on a lifestyle show. "You really booked this just for us?" I nodded. Thought it was time we reconnected. She smiled. That smile she used to reserve for when I surprised her with flowers or made her favorite French toast. But it didn't quite reach her eyes. The corners twitched like they weren't sure they were allowed to be sincere anymore. She kissed me on the cheek and unpacked while I made drinks. Nothing heavy, just a splash of whiskey in hers. The good stuff. I wanted her relaxed, but alert. That night, we sat on the deck under stars too clean to be real. She talked about the stars like they were friends she hadn't seen since childhood. I let her talk. I even held her hand when she offered it. But the warmth wasn't real. It was the kind of closeness people wear like a coat at funerals. Uncomfortable, temporary, ceremonial. She asked what made me pick this place. I shrugged. Figured we could both use a break from our usual routine. Something off the map. Off the map, she repeated, rolling the phrase around like a secret. That does sound nice. We turned in early. She showered first. While the water ran, I slipped the second recorder into her purse. This one would ride home with her. I wasn't sure what I was looking for yet, but I knew how lies like hers worked. They didn't die on vacation. They followed you home and climbed in bed next to you like they'd been invited. She fell asleep quickly, wrapped in blankets and lavender lotion. I stared at the ceiling for an hour, wondering how many men had heard her laugh like that before she handed them the same sleepy smile. In the morning, I woke up before her, walked into the woods behind the cabin, breathed in the pine, the stillness, and then I made the call. "Hey," I said when the line picked up. "It's me." The voice on the other end sounded groggy. "This early? You still have that camera rig from your wildlife shoots?" A pause. "Yeah. What?" "I need something discreet. Motion activated. Can you drop it off Tuesday?" Another pause. "You're not going to tell me what this is, are you?" "Nope." Same garage. Same garage. I hung up. Back at the cabin, Amanda was making coffee. My hoodie swamped her frame. It used to look like love. Now it looked like a borrowed costume from a play we'd both stopped believing in. She handed me a mug and kissed my cheek again. I took a sip, smiled, and asked, "Do you think we're in a good place?" She blinked, startled. "I think we're working on it." That's not an answer. Her voice softened. "I think we're better than we were." I nodded. "I think we're getting there too." She looked so relieved. And that was the twist. I wanted her to think everything was fine. I wanted her relaxed, complacent, comfortable. Because comfort makes people sloppy. Back home, I'd install the camera. Back home, she'd start lying again. And when she did, I'd be ready. Back home, Amanda unpacked like she'd just returned from a spiritual cleanse. She played music while she folded laundry, lit candles in the kitchen, and hummed the melody of a song I'd never heard her hum before. It wasn't happiness. It was performance. She was rehearsing for a version of herself she wanted me to believe existed again. I played along. That Monday, I installed the camera while she was at yoga. Tiny, motion-triggered, tucked discreetly behind the mirror in our bedroom. It had a full view of the room. The bed. The closet. The doorway. She never noticed. That night, I watched her get ready for bed through a feed on my laptop. Same soft robe. Same brushing of hair. Same deliberate distance between us. She kissed me goodnight, said she was tired, and turned her back like she always did. By Wednesday, the recording showed what I suspected. Late-night pacing, whispering into her phone, deleting messages. I synced the audio from her purse recorder with the video feed. She didn't talk to him by name. Just Jay. Always Jay. "You still thinking about the cabin?" She whispered into her phone one night. "Yeah, me too." I keep playing it over in my head. Pause. A laugh. "No, he doesn't suspect anything. He thinks it fixed things." She sat on the edge of our bed and twisted her wedding ring like it was a dial. "Honestly, I'm just trying to figure out when's the best time to end it. It won't be dramatic." He's passive. That word. Passive. I watched the screen like I was watching someone else's life. When she hung up, she looked at her reflection in the mirror and said, "I deserve more." Not to anyone. Just herself. Practicing again. Rehearsing for the exit. That's when I started preparing mine. Not to escape. To exit strategically. I copied every recording, every frame, every whisper, and backed them up in 3 locations, 2 physical, 1 cloud. Then I scheduled an appointment. With a lawyer. Her office was lined with books that didn't look read, but she listened without interrupting as I explained. Not the betrayal, that was old news. The part that made her straighten in her chair was my plan. "I don't want alimony," I said. "I don't want to punish her. I want her to see." The lawyer raised an eyebrow. "See what?" Exactly what she threw away. She leaned forward. "You have leverage, Mr. Harland. But what you're describing isn't legal strategy, it's theater." I smiled. "Exactly." That weekend, Amanda's mood was syrupy. Overly sweet. She made brunch from scratch, something she hadn't done since the year we got married. She laughed at things that weren't funny and wore a sweater she used to say was only for cozy days. Guilt, I figured. Or maybe preemptive absolution. Either way, I indulged it. Ate every bite. Told her it was perfect. That night, I uploaded a new video. A different kind. I created a fake Instagram account. No followers. No bio. Just one post. A silent video of Amanda on our bed, whispering into her phone, smiling the way she used to smile at me. Her voice was soft, but the audio was clear. "No, he doesn't suspect a thing." The caption read, "The truth always sleeps in the other room." I didn't share it. I just left it there, unlisted. For now. Monday morning, she left early. Hair curled, heels sharp, perfume like a promise. I waited 5 minutes, then opened the safe in my office. Inside were 2 envelopes. The first one I slid into her top dresser drawer. Addressed to her. Inside, a printed transcript of her last 3 recorded calls, and a note that simply read, "Page 2 of the script you forgot you were performing." The second envelope went to her office. Same contents. When she returned home that evening, I was already waiting. Dinner cooked. Wine poured. She looked off. I watched her eyes scan the room, looking for a clue. A crack in the illusion. She didn't find one. Long day? I asked, casual. She blinked twice. Yeah, just the usual. I poured her wine and asked, "Still thinking about the cabin?" She froze. I smiled. Just a little. Then I raised my glass. To more honest beginnings. She clinked her glass with mine, but I saw it, the flicker in her eye. The fracture. And I knew she had found the first envelope. She excused herself 5 minutes later, said she needed to call her sister. I nodded, watched her walk into the bedroom. Then I opened my laptop, turned on the feed. She was sitting on the bed, envelope in hand. Still sealed. She stared at it like it might explode. Then, slowly, carefully, she opened it. Her face didn't register shock. Not yet. Just confusion. Then realization. Then the thing I had been waiting for. Fear. She turned, glanced around the room, walked to the mirror, leaned in. Eyes scanning. Too late, Amanda. Too late. She picked up her phone. Dialed. I muted the feed. Not because I didn't care. Because I didn't need to hear her lies anymore. I already had everything I needed. The performance was over. And the next act? Would be mine. Amanda didn't bring it up. Not the letter. Not the recording. Not even a sideways glance about privacy or boundaries. Which told me everything I needed to know. She was still calculating. Still strategizing. Still trying to regain the upper hand before acknowledging she'd ever lost it. Good. I preferred it that way. Because now I got to set the tempo. Tuesday morning, I dropped a package at her office. Not a bombshell. Just a basket. Lavender-scented lotion. Her favorite dark chocolate. A paperback mystery novel she'd mentioned in passing 2 months ago. And a handwritten card, in her own cursive, but not written by her. I'd mimicked it well enough. The card read, "Can't wait for our next Thursday. I haven't stopped thinking about the cabin. Jay." I used ink that smudged if touched too early. It made the card look authentic. Fresh. The receptionist at her office didn't even blink when I said I was dropping off a gift for Amanda. "That's sweet," she said. "We love seeing happy couples." I almost laughed. Back home, I set the new plan into motion. I created a burner email. Sent it to Amanda's work address. The subject line was simple: "You deserve to know." The body contained a link to the private Instagram post, the one with the video of her whispering into the phone. No context. No explanation. Just a trail of breadcrumbs, perfectly vague. I wasn't trying to ruin her reputation. Not yet. I was letting her imagine what might happen if the truth got out. Letting her sweat. Because the most potent kind of fear is the kind you create yourself. She came home early that day. Panicked smile. Keys dropped too loud on the counter. Wine poured before 5 p.m. Her tells were starting to unravel. "You okay?" I asked from the living room. She forced a laugh. "Just a weird day at work." I paused my reading, looked up with mild interest. "Weird how?" "Oh, someone sent a prank email. Probably spam. You know how offices are." I nodded. "Spam's getting weird these days." She sipped her wine faster than usual, then started chopping vegetables she didn't need to chop. I watched her from behind the pages of a book I wasn't actually reading. I knew what she was really thinking. How much do I know? Who else might know? What do I do now? And I hadn't even started pressing the gas. The next day, I gave her hope. I left early for work, an actual meeting, just not urgent. I texted her mid-morning. "Hey, thinking we should do a date night soon. I want us to keep building." Cabin trip meant a lot. Her response came quickly. "Me too. I'm so glad we're turning a corner." That was the moment she sighed with relief. And that was the moment I struck. That night, I cooked her favorite, lemon pepper salmon, roasted veggies, fresh bread from the bakery she loved. Candles. Music. A perfectly composed evening, tailored to distract. Midway through dinner, I asked, "Did you get something at the office yesterday?" Her fork paused. "What do you mean? A gift basket or something?" She didn't blink. "Nope." "Why?" "Receptionist mentioned something came in with your name on it." She laughed, too high. "Oh, that. Yeah, just a client thing." I didn't think it was worth mentioning. I let the silence stretch just enough. Then nodded. "Right. Just curious." She didn't touch the rest of her salmon. That weekend, I scheduled a meeting with Jay. No, not the real guy. I didn't even know who he was yet. But I had a feeling Amanda would lead me to him eventually, so I needed to warm the seat. So I posed as her. Used her old Gmail account. The one she never officially deleted, just abandoned when she got her new job. I knew the password. She used our anniversary. From that email, I messaged her sister, her best friend, and 3 of her old coworkers, all carefully selected. The email was short. "Hey, I've been thinking about how badly I messed up. I know I've been distant. Let's talk soon. Amanda." Nothing explosive. Just suggestive. Enough to make people start wondering. Enough to make the gossip start to swirl. Why would Amanda say she messed up? What was she talking about? That's all I needed. Doubt. Within 48 hours, her sister had called twice. Amanda answered with that practiced sweetness I used to think was charm. I listened from the other room as she danced around the topic, then finally said, "I think someone hacked my email or something. Ignore anything strange." "Oh, Amanda. Strange is just getting started." The night after that, I sent her a package at home. No name. No return address. Inside, a single white envelope with no note. Inside that envelope, a printed photo of her and Jay from the rooftop bar. Candid, blurry, but unmistakable. She opened it alone. In the kitchen, I watched from the hallway mirror. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She just stood there, photo trembling in her hand, face draining of color. That's the moment she realized. She had no idea how far this had already gone. I walked into the room quietly. She turned, hiding the photo behind her back. I raised my eyebrows. "Everything okay?" She nodded too quickly. "Yeah, just junk mail." She lied without eye contact. I poured 2 glasses of water and handed her one. "To new beginnings," I said, just to watch her flinch. She smiled. Weakly, clinked the glass. But I saw it. The terror behind her eyes. That's when I knew I had officially become the threat she never saw coming. Amanda stopped sleeping through the night. At first, it was subtle, restless legs, a few turns, a sigh or two. But within a week, she was wide awake at 3 a.m., scrolling her phone under the covers like it held answers. She thought I didn't notice. But I noticed everything now. She started checking the locks before bed. Started pausing at the mailbox for a beat too long, like she expected another envelope. She even changed her email password. Twice. Didn't help. See, Amanda still thought this was about catching her. She hadn't realized I'd already caught her weeks ago. No? It was about framing the memory. I wasn't interested in the crime. I was curating the fallout. One evening, she sat across from me at dinner, barely touching her food, and asked, "Do you still trust me?" She didn't blink when she said it. Didn't flinch. Just met my eyes like she was testing her poker face. I set my fork down, wiped my mouth. "Depends which version of you is asking." Her breath hitched. "Just enough." "I'm serious," she said. "So am I." She opened her mouth, then closed it. Her shoulders sagged like the act had gotten too heavy to hold up. "I want to fix this. Whatever this is." I nodded. "So fix it." Her silence was long, but it wasn't the kind that waits for permission. It was the kind that stalls for a script. The next morning, I left the house before sunrise. Drove an hour out of town to the lakeside property we almost bought 5 years ago. She called it dreamy at the time. Said she could see us retiring there. Back then, I believed her. Now, I was renting it for the weekend. Not for us. For her. I needed her in a place where nostalgia would turn into confession. Somewhere that smelled like old dreams and unfinished plans. Somewhere I could tilt the mirror and let her see herself from a new angle. The property was still gorgeous. Wine through the pines, water like glass. I walked the place twice, rehearsing the moment in my head like a director blocking a scene. By the time I invited her, I had every frame planned. Thought it might help. I said that night at dinner. The lake house. One weekend. Just us. She looked stunned. Then cautious. Then hopeful. "Yeah," she said slowly. "Yeah, I'd like that." I watched her nod, eyes flickering like she was calculating risk versus reward. Perfect. Saturday morning, we packed a bag together. I let her choose the playlist. She picked soft jazz, like Forgiveness had a soundtrack. On the way there, she reached for my hand. I let her take it. It was warm, familiar, hollow. The lake house didn't disappoint. She marveled at the view again, just like she had 5 years ago. "Still dreamy," she whispered, tracing the window pane. That night, we sat by the fireplace. I poured her a glass of red. She brought a blanket and tucked her legs under herself like she used to when we were still new. I let the silence stretch. Then, gently, I said, "You want to tell me about him?" She froze. Didn't blink. Didn't breathe. I didn't raise my voice. Didn't accuse. I just looked at her like a man asking the time. Her mouth opened. Closed. Finally, she said, "I don't know what you mean." That line. I smiled softly. "I think you do." She stared into her wine. "How long have you known?" "Long enough to wonder why you thought I wouldn't." She set the glass down too carefully. Her hands were shaking. "I didn't mean for any of it to happen." I nodded. "That's usually how betrayal works." Her eyes welled. "It was just. I felt invisible. You were always so steady. Predictable. Safe." She nodded. "You wanted danger," I said. She whispered, I didn't know what I wanted. Then why did you hide it? Silence. Then, because I knew what it would cost. I stood up, walked to the window. The lake shimmered under moonlight. Still, untouched. Amanda, I said, voice calm. I brought you here because this is where I realized something. She looked up, cautious. This house? We almost bought it. Remember? She nodded slowly. And back then, we said it would be our fresh start. She didn't speak. But you already started over. You just forgot to tell me. Her lip trembled. I reached into my coat and handed her an envelope. No photos. No recordings. Just a single sheet of paper. A letter. From me. She unfolded it slowly. Read the first few lines. Her face changed. It wasn't angry. It wasn't cruel. It was honest. It said, You stopped choosing me. I just finally caught up. But I'm not going to scream. I'm not going to punish you. I'm going to leave you with the one thing you didn't expect, the truth. And the silence that follows when someone finally lets go. Her tears came quietly. No sobbing. No apologies. Just stillness. That's how I knew it landed. I turned, walked upstairs, and left her by the fire. In the morning, I'd drive home alone. She'd stay. And for the first time, she'd have to sit in the stillness she created, without anyone to fold it into forgiveness. Amanda didn't come home Sunday. Not that I expected her to. When I walked through the front door, the house felt like it had taken a breath in my absence. The silence wasn't accusing, it was cleansing. Like the walls had been waiting for the script to end so they could return to themselves. I unpacked alone, made coffee alone, sat in the same chair where, a month ago, I found the first photo. This time, there was no shock. No twist. Just a quiet knowing. Amanda texted late that night. Just 5 words. Can we talk this week? I didn't reply. I let her words hang there, suspended like smoke from a match that had long since burned out. The next morning, I went back to the lake house. Not for closure. For the camera. I'd hidden one there too, because people say their truest words when they think they've been left alone with their regret. The file was only 3 minutes long, but it was enough. She cried. Then she laughed. She called him. Said, It's over. All of it. I made a mess, and he saw right through me. I can't go back. He asked if she was okay. She said, No. But I deserve it. I copied the file. Labeled it. Final act. Then I deleted the rest. Back home, the house seemed to hum with a kind of unburdened quiet. I moved her things to the guest room, packed them neatly, respectfully. Labeled the boxes not with Amanda, but with her full name. Like she was now someone I used to know. When she showed up Wednesday, she stood on the porch for a full minute before knocking. I let her stand. When I opened the door, she didn't try to hug me. She looked older than she did 4 days ago. Hi, she said. I stepped aside. She walked in like someone entering a museum of her own choices. We didn't sit. We stood in the living room like 2 people negotiating a crime scene. She looked around slowly, noting the small differences. No coffee mugs, no folded blankets, no shared anything. Did you pack my stuff? Yes. She nodded. I motioned to the boxes in the guest room. She walked in, stood in the doorway, and whispered, You were always so organized. That used to be a compliment. Now it sounded like a eulogy. I watched the video, I said quietly. She flinched. From the lake. The call you made. Amanda closed her eyes. I figured. I'm not angry anymore. Her eyes opened. Red. Then what are you? Free. She sat on the edge of the bed, shoulders folding inward. I don't want to ask for forgiveness, she said. Because I don't think I deserve it. But I do want you to know I remember the man you were. I stayed quiet. And the way you looked at me before I started giving myself away. Her voice cracked. I didn't leave because I stopped loving you. I left because I stopped loving myself, and you kept holding up the mirror. I nodded slowly. And now, I don't know who I am anymore. She looked up, finally. What are you going to do? I tilted my head. What do you think I'm going to do? I don't know. I keep waiting for you to explode. Or vanish. That's the problem, Amanda, I said. You're still waiting for a reaction. Then I handed her the letter. The second one. This time it was goodbye. Amanda left the next morning. No dramatics. No declarations. Just boxes in the trunk and a red-eyed farewell. She looked back once. I didn't wave. A week passed. Then came the invitations. Friends checking in. Colleagues trying to catch up. The post-divorce social audit had begun. I declined most. Not out of shame. Out of peace. But I did make one visit, an old friend who once told me, when someone shows you who they are, write it down. And when they forget who they are, Read it back to them. We had lunch. Talked shop. And then I slid the USB drive across the table. No names, I said. But I want you to help me create something. He opened the folder. Read a few lines. Looked up. This is a story, he said. And a brutal one. I smiled. I know. He leaned back. You sure she deserves this? It's not for her, I said. It's for everyone who ever felt like a supporting character in their own marriage. He nodded once. I'll have it online by Monday. It went live quietly. No promotion. No tags. Just a title. The Man Who Left Quietly. A simple video. My voice, narrating the story from beginning to end. No names. No faces. Just words. Truth. Cold and still and unflinching. It spread. First through Reddit. Then podcasts. Then the comment sections exploded. Men wrote, "This was my life." Women wrote, "I didn't know they noticed this much." Others wrote, "I'm not crying, but I'm listening." Amanda texted me a week later. Just one sentence. "You made me the villain." I replied, "No. You gave me the story. I just stopped protecting it." Then I blocked her. The world didn't end. The house didn't collapse. I didn't celebrate. I didn't date. I didn't move on. I just sat on the porch one night, under the soft hum of a sky too big to care about betrayals, and let myself feel unmarried. Not alone. Not abandoned. Just uncurated. Unobserved. And finally, unapologetically me.